Yep.
I'd like to call the June 2025 Retirement Board meeting to order. Present, Joe Cassasano, David Baird, James McNamara, Diane Magliosi, Administrator Patty Hazel, and our investment consultant, Stan Starr. Stan, you're up first.
Thank you, sir. Start off with our first order of business here, the year-to-date and this is through May. And it was a good month. It was up 2.3% return-wise, which is $1,887,000. So on a year-to-date basis, it came to 2.99 by my calculation. I haven't had it confirmed yet because we don't have all the forms in yet, which is unfortunately not untypical of what we meet, but nonetheless, it was 2.99, so I took the liberty of making it 3.0. So, and it'll be confirmed when we get it in, probably the day after tomorrow. The general allocation remains by far the largest exposure we have as a company, as a town, at 91%. The PRIT cash is just shy under 4%, and the difference there is the overweight, if you will, in private equities. I note that on the private equities now going back to 2012 and 2014, they're slowly dissipating up. I'm waiting for the report to come in for the end of this month. It'll give the board kind of a full report about what's happened. The true-up, as they call it, will be available for the next meeting. And that'll bring us up to date as to what they've done. The holding period typically is 12 to 15, sometimes years, that is. The 2012 obviously has 13 years on it, so I can't recall without looking back in records as to how much we put in initially. That might have been back in the days of $250,000 and $300,000 of exposure, but the 101 is the current value on it. Anything else on here? I made a bunch of notes in here on a guesstimation, if you will, of what we did so far for this particular month to date in June. I come up with a number of just shy of 1% more for the month of June. So if we take that just shy of 1% along with the 3% that was on there through May, we're on our target, which is 7.2, Patty? Do you know off the top of your head? Is it 7 point something percent the target? That sound right? Yeah. So we're on it. If it keeps up at the same rate we have been, I think we're overdue for a little bit of a pullback, but what do I know? So that's worked out pretty well. We did make, presumably it was done on June 2, purchased $500,000 of the domestic equity fund. And if it's 1.6% this month, we've picked up $8,000 already with that. A long way to go. So I'm happy we've got a little bit more of exposure to domestic equity. It continues to go. Today was an all-time high in the stock market, all-time ever, in the 6,100 range for the S&P 500. So when I say stock market, it really calculates over to be the Standard & Poor's 500 index, the one that's most commonly followed. Okay. The net change for private equity for the month of May was just over $43,000. That's not been firing as strongly as it has in the past, but it was positive. When they have the true-up, typically the true-ups, my experience with them has been when they get the actual valuations updated for every quarter, which will be the end of this month, it generally moves upward. That's been my experience on it too. So we'll see how that works, and I will give the board a complete report on that, on each one of these private equity positions we have. We did take out $350,000 as seen on this unofficial report to you folks, that $350,000. In addition, this month, there was another $300,000 taken out for purposes of payroll primarily. That is what we're using it for. I mentioned the older vintage years are starting to show their age, deductions. And let's see if there's anything else in here that, just to acknowledge too, that we've reduced the exposure to the cash management from 3.5 million to 3 million. And that's, presumably that was acceptable. I see the reports, but.
I've got the maintenance balance for the board to sign next, saying 3 million for FY '26.
So, and they did acknowledge $500,000
They acknowledged
purchase?
that, yep.
Okay, good. I don't get that report, but I assumed it was there, yeah. And I like to see what the May investments income report is for the month of May. It came to $12,343. When I annualize that, it comes out to be approximately $148,000 for the year. However, we've just reduced it by 14 or so percent by taking out that $500,000 in cash and instead bought into the domestic, and did ask for that to remain at $3 million until further notice. And I presume that was done as well. When I calculated it for this month, I simply take what they put down as $12,432. I annualize it, and I take a percentage of the beginning balance of $3 million. I come to 4.9%, and I did it 5 times. So it's accurate, best as I can manage it too. It's higher than I thought it would be, but they're giving it to us, and those are the numbers. They're verifiable on the reports. And I did it three times. I did two more this morning to make sure that I didn't make mess up on it. That's why I like to use the backup all the time, the official stuff. This is the unofficial, but pretty accurate ultimately.
So what number are you looking at that's the official? What number do we have in our collection here? No, right there, you're just looking at paper right there. Does that have a number on it?
Yeah, no, they don't put numbers on these things apparently. They want to make it
Oh,
difficult.
you know what,
It's not on here.
I gotta start, is that the statement, is that the cash statement you're looking at?
This is the cash investment statement.
So I email you guys the entire statement, but I will start printing the 16-page statement again, which is, the cash statement is within the 16-page statement that was emailed to you. But I only give you the top cover of all of our funds for the statement.
Well, I don't know if we need them all or not, but just the ones that Stan refers to, I think.
Yeah, this is the one because,
He's picking one page out, maybe we should be getting a copy of that, I don't know.
yeah, and they don't paginate it. They
You-
don't provide numbers, at least mine doesn't.
Say that again.
They don't put any.
It says the
number.
cash fund up top, though.
Yeah, it's cash investment is what it looks like.
As
It
of,
looks like this.
see, I never know what Stan's going to
Looks
pull
just
out
like that.
necessarily. So I can just start doing the whole 16 pages every single time.
Yeah, and until we put in, a substantial amount in there, I wasn't bothering to give you the updates. And before this year, if you will, we're paying next to nothing to begin with. It wasn't a situation, but now it is. On that one, Paul, if you look at that one, 12,400 something or other. If you multiply that times 12 to annualize it, take it as a percentage of the beginning balance of 3 million, I come up with 4.9. Again, it will go down because we've taken out roughly 14% or $500,000 from the cash investment, but still doing well in that regards. And maybe at some point in time, there's still a need to get in exposure to more domestic equity. Who knows? Time will tell.
Anybody else want?
You can say to the appropriation payments, Diane gave me the payment schedule, so we'll have more money coming in August and September from the appropriation, which we need money for investments.
Right.
Okay, if there's no questions, I'll move on to the other reports, which are the 1A, also known as performance by asset class. We haven't received Clinton's individual net of fees. The odds are 2 to 1 we'll get it tomorrow. That's the way it seems to work consistently. And then I can at least verify that those are the numbers. So this one here, performance by asset class, for the month, global equities by far was up almost 6%, 5.89%. The worst performing, again, hit by interest rates, at least for the month of May, was a negative 1.44%. If you move your eyes over on that second line under income, and if you look at the 10-year numbers, it's not particularly impressive that core fixed income has only earned 1.3% on average for the last 10 years. But that's what they're telling us. For on a calendar year-to-date basis, global equity also is leading with 4.66%. The worst performer was Timberlands at 0.94, still positive, but like barely amounts. So for the 1 and 3 year periods, it's global equities. Thereafter, the 5 and 10 years, it continues to be the private equities, with their past history being very, very good. Any questions on 1A performance? There being none. Last report I give, because I don't have the other two yet, was 1B, and I'm not sure, other than showing you, telling you that's the investment detail page. It lists all of our, that's the number I tie into when I do my reports, Paul. I think you were asking that.
Yep.
The 82,761,177 number under investment details for May 31st looks like this. Want to see if you,
Yeah.
That's a 16-page report.
I have all 16 pages here, which includes that cash page.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I have, Miss. I wanted to make it brief under the circumstances of weather and otherwise, but I got all the points that I wanted to bring up to the board, unless somebody else has any questions, and I will give a little bit more detail on the private equities for the first half of the year, if we get the report for the month of June, in a timely fashion to make the meeting. Can't do without it. Oh. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Do you have any other suggestions that we should be doing with some of our money, or just stay pat for a while?
No, I think for the time being, with the move we made, was fine. A little piece of exposure to domestic equity. Again, we picked up 1.6% already. And tomorrow it might be down 1 point, I don't know, but you don't know. Long term, I think it's a good piece to get a little more diversity. And yes, I think it'll be better than keeping it in cash at 4%, something.
Yeah, 4% is nice. Anybody else have anything else to stand?
No, thank you.
Okay, what about our next meeting now? Keep it the same last, is
Tuesday, July 29th.
that okay with everyone?
Yep.
And as we discussed before, we can change it if we need to. All right, Stan, thank you.
Welcome, thank you all.
Thanks.
You enjoy your
Thanks, Stan.
summer.
Hope we're all surviving this wonderful weather we have. Excuse me. Okay, till then, happy trails.
Yeah.
Here,
Enjoy
Stan,
the
you
summer.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
I'm going to give Stan a copy of our appropriation. Those are the deposits from the town, just so you can think about it. Yeah. You're welcome. All right, safe
All right,
road.
I believe the next thing we have, 1E.
Before we move on, can we had a couple of the housekeeping things for the Pritt letter of incumbency. So this is the letter that Pritt needs, that we have to add to say that he can okay trades, okay? Yeah, you know how when I send things down. So all you're going to do, if you could, print, title, sign, and pass it down. Print your name, sign.
My title is board member.
Board member. Yep.
So what I skipped over was 1D, 1NB, or 1NBA.
Yep.
Patty's passing one of them around, the other two.
The only other thing, this is an informational 1A. The maintenance balance, which we just dropped from 3.5 to 3 million, and for FY '26, we'll keep it at 3 million, and they need this form signed once a year. They needed it back by June 14th or something, 13th, so Diane just signed it on behalf of the board. So it's just housekeeping, so you know that we're still at the 3 million. We can change it next month by doing another form, but for right now, FY '26, we're sticking to the 3 million.
Okay. Everybody also at that? Anything else, Patty, before we go on to 1E?
Nope, that's it.
Treasurer's monthly cash reconciliation, we don't have that this month. Patty's working on that, treasurer,
It's
correct?
still pending, yep, getting in touch with the acting treasurer to get the statement.
All right. I just told Patty before the meeting, I think that's very important, we stay on top of that. We get this thing before we come to our meetings. If not, then we gotta go to someone that oversees the treasurer and make sure we get that. I'll send that in a minute. Where are we last night? Agenda, we're posting, that's draft minutes.
Motion? Oh, I can't. I wasn't
You were
here.
not here yet.
Sorry.
Motion.
Second. Motion made, second. Does anybody have, I have a few fast things. Patty, On the warrant, we paid $55 to Attorney Sacco. And then I saw something else in correspondence. But is that still rolling along? I mean, there was
The
a letter-
MTRS suit, it must be because that's what that was about, so there must be some movement, but they haven't told us anything yet, you know.
I know $55 is not much, I think we touched it before, but this thing has to come to a head sometime, I would think.
Yeah.
All right. Patty, on number 7, on retirement, person over at the school, Marilyn retired. Now, who's handling that stuff now that she was doing?
So right now, she's still here till June
She's
30th.
working part-time, and Amanda and Kelly are there.
Wasn't some of this passed over to our new, wasn't there someone else that some of this work was going to pass it over to make it easier, or no?
Well, we have our HR
Yeah,
director now that works
so
for
we have
town
the HR
and
director, and we
school.
still have people over there.
Marilyn would do the payroll into Harper's,
Amanda's taking over payroll, though.
is Amanda doing
Amanda's gonna
it
take payroll.
herself? Okay.
That's what I was told. Amanda is the assistant business manager? Is that her title at the moment?
Everything's just going okay for us.
Exactly.
That's, everything's
Yeah.
good with us,
Yeah.
okay?
Mhm.
And then also, at least a copy of the minutes I have, it shows that Diane was not absent, but I'd just like to have that added to the associate, okay? Report I got didn't show absent, okay, that's all.
I forgot to write absent.
Anybody
so
have
don't
anything
sign.
else? Motion made, second, all in favor? Aye. Thank you.
I'll abstain.
Okay, all right. Let's see, agenda posting, next will be the warrant.
Motion to accept the June warrant, total amount $496,745.61.
Motion made, second, and again, no small amount, but Mike Sacco was still on there for $197. Now, that doesn't include the $50 we just paid him, or $55, right? There's another.
The
I think it's-
$55.
It's in
I can
here.
explain
It's-
later on what it
it
is,
is.
and I can't remember if it's 50.
It is,
but
it's
anyway,
two
okay.
things. I think it's 170 maybe for the case, and I forget.
Motion made, second, any further discussion, all in favor? Thank you. Refund rollover. Holly,
Motion to accept rollover for Holly Bayruti. Did you need a motion on this?
Yeah.
You need us to accept 1 year, 9 month liability.
Yeah.
motion made, second, any further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, then we go to 5A. Dennis O'Malley, and we didn't even have to have that on here.
I probably
right?
didn't, I probably should, what happened is we approved this last month, but the check, he wrote in this rollover form to roll it over, and the outfit called me and said it should have gone to Charles Schwab. They just processed the check. It's Waypoint Wealth Management. I made the check out to based on his application, but they said, no, it has to go to his Charles Schwab. So we voided, I got the check back, voided it, and we just reissued the check this month. So you really didn't, I shouldn't have put it on here. You've already accepted the liability. So
Okay.
it's an FYI.
I knew that, Patty had told me that, but just when everybody else, why it was on there. Okay, number 6, transfer out.
Motion to transfer Rachel Grimaldi's balance and accept 1 year, 7 months.
Motion made, second, any further discussion, Patty, all in favor? Okay, retirements, none. New enrollments, we have new building commissioner.
Motion to accept new building commissioner Gary Smith, effective June 2nd, 2025.
Motion made, second. He's full-time, right, 100%?
He is.
Okay. He's not working someplace else, or is he working someplace else?
He's not, no.
He's not? Okay. I thought he's going to share with someone. He's not sharing with anyone? No?
Conservation agent we
Oh,
are,
okay,
but.
okay, I'm sorry. So motion made, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. 8A, new member enrollment.
Motion to accept Jacob Chetwin?
Chetwood.
Chetwin. Let's see, what is he? Custodian, effective date May 27, 2025.
Motion made, there was seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Parac, memo. Patty, what, is
Well,
that something?
This is the disability forms, but it's really informational. If we ever come upon one of these types of cases, then I'll make sure we use the forms. It's on that new post-traumatic stress disability.
Is there something we should be going over right now, or is that, no?
No, I mean, it's until we get
Okay,
somebody.
good.
We won't,
That's informational.
we'll
Yeah.
accept it if somebody applies for it.
Okay.
Or we'll deal with
Right.
it if somebody.
Okay, good, so that's number, 9A. 9A is tobacco. I don't, I guess they have to keep doing this, but, in other words, that's informational. Number 10, email from Attorney Sacco.
And this goes into speaking about the
Right.
post-traumatic stress disability and his thoughts on it. And,
Yep.
but that's, once again, we don't have anything going on right now. If we ever get an application in, we'll have to review all this.
So, I guess not, this is something you should be filing, so when it comes out, then
Exactly.
we jump on it.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. Anybody have anything else on it? Okay, that's number 10. Number 10A, that's what it was, 10A has to do with a little breakdown of what we just approved.
Well, yeah.
Okay,
197.
531. Okay, that's just informational. Number 10B, COLA.
Just informational, once again, from the Mass retirees to let you know what other boards have been
Yeah,
doing.
we're at 18,000.
Yep.
Anybody have any other questions, or just informational? 18C has to do with a request from a police officer. Is that something that we want to put on hold, we want to discuss right now, or?
So I can give you a little, I did look up what we've done in the past. And I did find out too, so we had someone in the past that, it's a member that, they did work in another community, Ashby, but they were not allowed to join the system. They did police work, like a reserve-type police officer in Ashby. It was Ed Jeffries. And so we had this happen years ago with another member who also happened to work for a system who was part of the Middlesex Regional Retirement Board, which is what Ashby is with. And at that time, we wrote to Middlesex and said, would you accept liability for this, if this person makes a buyback for this non-membership service, will you accept it? And they denied it under Section 3.5, which, because he had never been a member there. So I don't even have to call them back because I already have a letter from them saying they will not accept it because he was never a member there. So we know that much of it. Middlesex won't take the liability. So the question is, does Clinton want to let him do the buyback and then accept liability for it? So I just provided you, he sent in the payroll records from Ashby. He sent in the copies of the W-2s to prove what he was paid. And then Joe might be able to help me out on this. There is a question of whether, if he was a reserve police officer, we might be able to offer him a full year of service for the time, even though he wasn't working full-time, or as a reserve police officer, or if we can only offer him prorated time, based upon what a full-time police officer would have gotten. I prepared this for you. What I said at the time was thinking I prorated it against a full-time equivalent, but now rereading through everything, there's a chance if he was a reserve police officer, the board could consider giving him a full year rather than the prorated time for the service. And I plugged in the salary, and it will cost about $6,233.64 if he bought it by July. And at the time, I was saying 1 year, 4 months. I don't know if you do want to table it to next month, just so we can verify the reserve part of it, and then decide if you can offer him the full year, if you even want to, if you want to approve it, upon him making the proper buyback. Does that make
So
sense?
we don't know from the time yet whether, did they verify a service?
Yeah, the payroll records you can see in here, I think, and that's what I mean, if you guys, you might want to take some time to look at it over the month.
These are his hours.
Well, so down here, this piece of paper is copies of his W-2s
Oh,
from the town of Ashby for the for 96, 97, and 98. This was what Ashby gave to him, and it was an Excel spreadsheet where they put the weeks he worked, the amount of hours, what he was paid, and the description of what the work was, which is all training, reserve, ex-duty, reserve. So I broke it down, so that's what they gave from their payroll records, and then they gave you the W-2s from their town to prove that that's what he actually was paid. So then, these sheets, Jim, I broke it down, when you're doing a buyback makeup calculation, you have to do it by calendar year. So I broke the hours and salary into calendar year, so I could figure out.
okay.
And so then, like in 1996, I added up that he worked 1,736 hours. If you're a full-time employee, it would have been 2,080 hours. So if we're going to prorate it, I was saying give him .83 or 10 months service for the hours he worked in 96. Then I took the hours in 97, and it would have been 0.52% or 6 months against a full-time equivalent. So that would come out to 1 year and 4 months.
And then he has to pay this much by a certain date?
And I can redo it, I just did it by like next month. Every month that
Goes
more
on.
interest gets paid, gets added on. If he doesn't make this, if he comes back in 6 months and says, oh, I think I want to do it now, I'll just redo it and add the new interest on.
Do they do a lump sum or do they do a payment?
We require lump sums for everyone except for military buybacks at the moment. And the other thing is, but the thing is, call firefighter and reserve police do have different rules. And if he falls under the reserve police, they end up getting the whole year, regardless of how many hours they worked.
Yep.
But they had to pay all the money.
Because I was a call fire, I remember that years ago.
So you got a whole year's service, right?
3.
3.
3 for 6.
And you didn't work, like, you know what I'm saying? It
Right.
doesn't matter the hours as long as you were.
Right.
So the only thing I think, I mean, Joe was looking at these records. I don't know if we feel comfortable, if that documentation is good enough to say he was a reserve police officer, you could let him buy it back as a reserve police officer, and he'd get more creditable service.
As long as you feel comfortable.
Well, I don't know if I know all the rules of being a reserve police officer, but they're the payroll records. That's what the town of Ashby called the service. So it's basically saying if you fall under a reserve or call firefighter, you have to pay the money, but you get the whole year without. And the other option is if you don't fall into that category, you can still buy it back under the board's rules, which our current rules are prorating against full-time equivalent. Our newest supplementary regs. At one time, we used to say you had to average 20 hours, but the newest regs really prorate service against full-time equivalents. So that's what, once again, if you all want to think about this for a month, I mean, I don't think he's in a terrible, he's not retiring tomorrow that I know of.
What would determine if he's reserve or not? And who sets the rule for reserve?
Probably the town,
The
the Ashby.
town. And it used to be a brown book test you'd have to take. And you'd have to get a-
Diane, I'm lost on this, so.
So
I have to rely on
Ashby?
someone else.
So we have to ask Ashby.
Well, they call it reserve. They paid him for reserve
Yeah,
time.
he's listed as a reserve.
You had listed as a reserve. So he would have had to take.
And it looks like he took
Yeah.
4 weeks training before he started
That's,
as the reserve.
that's a reserve academy.
Which is what they do, yeah.
And
these
we
other-
do that
these-
here.
These
We're
other,
the same?
We don't have reserve police officers, I
no,
don't.
we don't have,
Sorry.
See, that's the problem. We don't have
Okay.
reserving.
But
these
a lot
other
of-
notes here just show that he went to court. And he was obviously a reserve when he went to court.
Right, right.
Okay.
Or he worked at extra detail. I think it shows he was a
I'm
reserve,
pretty confident he was a reserve, so.
yeah.
What caught my attention first, Ashby, I couldn't even realize how Clinton would get involved in giving him retirement. He
Yeah.
didn't even work with Clinton. and
It is under your board's
Clinton
rules.
passed.
Yeah, we've done it with another officer in the past.
Well, why didn't they even hire him? I mean, if they hired him, why wasn't he part of the system?
Well, sometimes they're provisional, so they have to wait for a permanent opening.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't happen and they move on to somewhere else. Which is what that guy did, he moved on over here, I guess.
Well, I'm kind of relying on two people that are involved with the
Yeah,
police
I mean, I'm
department.
comfortable, you know,
I'm-
that he's,
So he
Wanna put it
began
off for a
in
month?
February
Wanna have a chance to
96,
Look at it, or wanna?
ended in January.
Well, the
Patty
thing
looked
is,
at
I
the
was
law.
looking at that, and
Looks fine.
he got his last paycheck, like, so that is a question. They got paid every 2 weeks, and it looks like, the one thing is, he got one paycheck in 1998, so you're going to give him a whole year for 1998, but I think that first paycheck was for like, they were paid every 2 weeks, I think.
Right.
So
They're saying one paycheck he got, and then we're gonna give him a whole, they're gonna give him a whole year?
if he worked in that year, but I don't think that paycheck, look at the last one.
It's from the last year that,
So we'd be looking at, instead of 1 year, 4 months, 2 years? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
oh, that's what you think, it's 2 years?
Yeah, unless
He
like.
started in February 96,
Oh, okay.
ended the end of,
So this is, yeah, it says 1 year, 4 months, so you're saying it's 2 years, 4 months?
Well, no. So if you prorate it against a full-time equivalent and you do it by calendar year, then, so in 96, he worked 10 months' worth when you compare it to if he had been there full-time. But once you're a call firefighter, you just, even if you work, I hate to say it, a day, you get the whole year if you pay for it, right? Call firefighters,
Yeah.
under that statute, that's the whole idea, but you can get like the whole year.
I recall
We're
you
not
just,
doing firefighters.
you just sent me a letter, I recall that, yeah, that what I was doing.
But it's a special statute only for call
Call
firefighters
firefighters.
and provisional reserve intermittent police officers. That gives them
that
better credit of
everybody
service.
goes by, even if you
It's
don't
chapter
have reserve.
30, no, like you have to be a reserve or a call firefighter.
Right.
To get
but
the-
We don't
If
have
you-
reserve, so we're going to
But you
take
can,
it because
our
Ashby did.
firefighters are different than the police, though.
No, I know, I'm talking about this case.
They have different,
Right, I'm talking about this case, though. So, we don't have reserve.
but the laws,
No.
we could have.
We've had
reserves.
specials.
We don't,
We could.
we just decide not to. The law is set, so every town, I believe, can if they.
So
if
if
it's
you
lucky.
had reserve, you
could.
always give a
But
year
but they
for,
have reserve firemen. They used to, they don't have them anymore. Actually, that's a good example, they don't have them anymore, but they used to. And if you were one of them, then you could qualify for this as well. So,
I mean, yeah, I
think they did away
I'm a
with
little
the-
confused,
the
but,
calls about 10 years ago.
I mean, do you want me to try to get more information on reserve?
well, no, if we don't have reserve, we're not going by what we would do for reserve, right?
Well,
Because you can't compare it.
But you did it for reserve, call and reserve is for firefighters. You could do it for, if another firefighter came before us, he could say, I was call, and he could get it.
Yeah,
It's like a reserve.
okay.
So I'm just saying, you could do it for, even though they don't exist anymore, someone could say, back when I was one of these, and he could pay you the money and buy it back, right?
a call firefighter?
Yeah, he could pay you.
Why are we bringing firefighters into
I
this?
know.
No, it's a similar thing. So a call, so it's a part-time firefighter. The law is for police and firefighters. And we just don't have any reserve firefighters, but we had reserve call, we had reserve firefighters years ago. We used to give them the time. So the law, I believe, is for firefighters and police.
The only thing I will say too, as far as this goes, so for call firefighters, like, one of the laws, the first law said it was only for call firefighters who then got appointed to the fire department where they were. But then our town did choose a local option that allows you to take a call firefighter that goes into another department, even.
Well, I can tell you this. I was a call firefighter, and they gave me the credit as a policeman.
Who did?
This board.
Clinton?
This board.
Okay.
Gave me the credit. You can look at my file, the letter's in there. So it's the same. Yeah, I'm just saying, because
yeah, you get the credit year to year.
yeah, so what if 20 years ago when I put in for it, or they gave it to me, they actually notified me. they sent me a letter and said that I could buy it back.
I don't know.
Okay, do we want to table
I mean,
this, or do we want to make a
so
decision today?
were you the only call firefighter
No,
we gave
no,
that to?
I'm going to rely on
it was
people
Fung
more than
told me.
I do.
I'm gonna rely on Joe.
And it was,
I'm
me
comfortable that he
and,
was a reserve,
it was the
and he
DPW.
Yeah,
qualifies.
if Joe's happy, then
He
I'm fine with
qualifies.
I mean, as long as everybody can
Qualifies
get
under
it.
the law. And we
Buddy
reviewed
McCall.
it
Oh,
earlier.
yeah, I got it.
Remember that? If you can look at the file,
I mean,
No,
he's
I
gotta
just
pay
don't
the-
think they're the same thing.
Whatever the amount is.
A call firefighter and a reserve police
I mean, I
officer.
don't know if they're the same
It's
thing.
part of 42B, it's in the same
Okay.
statute.
Okay,
it's,
It says you're either, if you're this or that.
Okay.
And I will tell you one further thing that I
Okay.
did
A couple days?
call, like, police
No.
though,
Okay.
the police part of the statute didn't require
It's
that
1 year,
they
4 months.
join the same, go to the same police department. The firefighters had to pass a special bill
oh,
just for fight, so
That's where she prorated it.
I'll let you read it over. I mean, I wish,
so this is a different police department.
think
I mean,
McCall-
I guess if we can do it, but we are setting precedent if we do
well, I
it.
think McCrell worked for the DPW at the time. So
But
I
we
think
did
he
do
got,
it
he
for
got
the other
credit
guy.
at the DPW.
Call firefighter.
No.
With Hudson. No, police.
Oh, who got it?
What did we do?
Earl.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. Did he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, then we set a
So-
precedent
so
already.
I
Okay,
wanna
if
be
I knew that.
consistent and do the same
Okay.
thing.
So he was a reserve for the Hudson,
Hudson.
and he got it.
here, I have the memo here. Yeah. Well, I only brought this letter from that file to prove that Middlesex Retirement will not accept liability under Chapter 32, Section 3.5. What
As
they're
long as
allowed
we
to
do it for anybody, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
That we're not just
I mean, we
talking
did
about one
for one, we gotta
case
do it for
because
another-
we can
for another
find.
guy, right?
Yeah, so if that's what we do,
I didn't know we did it for Earl too.
We don't get
But
very
you
many
did it for me.
police, that's why. There's not very many
Yeah.
police that
That
ask for a
was-
reserve.
And I know we did
Years
it.
ago.
I know we did it for Buddy McCrell too, because we both
but
on
that's
that.
fire.
No, he
Oh,
was
that's
DPW.
police. Oh, he
It's even
became-
different. So he was called firefighter, and he must have credit. He was never a full-time firefighter that I know of. It's been so long ago, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay.
And he's
Well,
also putting
no.
money back into our system, right?
So he's gonna pay though,
Right.
so the money goes
And-
back in.
And it'll be more than this figure after you.
Actually, I
No.
used all the salary, no.
Okay.
I did use all the salary.
So he's,
because I
he's
have-
paying for the town of Clinton's, there's no liability to us, he's paying for it.
From an actuarial perspective, he's paying what he would have paid in plus all the interest
Okay.
since 1996.
Uh-huh.
So,
So he's, we're granting something, but he's paying for it.
right, we're not
Seems
just
fair.
giving it to him. And it's, the amount of credible service because of that
Well-
special statute is a little bit more.
As long, if you feel comfortable, I'd like to make a motion. If you don't feel comfortable, I'd like to make a motion to grant it, but
I feel comfortable.
if you do, you know the law, I didn't study the law.
So what are we granting?
Well, Jim, based on the discussion that we
2
had and
years?
what you know,
It's up,
what's being
if
told,
they,
if she's
Joe
tell- yeah,
thinks
yeah.
that it is reserved. I was a little bit, I just wanted to make sure that
It seems correct to
as a
me.
police officer, that does
Joe,
look like
So
reserve.
I'd like to make the motion, and then,
Second.
yeah.
there's a motion made, seconded. Any further discussion? Hold on a second, Patty, what?
So, I'm sorry, who made the motion?
Jimmy,
Jim and Joe. And how much credible service? The full 2 years?
2 years.
That's all, because I had recommended 1 year, 4-month prorated, but after discussion, it's decided that we can do the 2 years.
Okay.
Is that okay with everyone?
Yep.
So the motion made, seconded.
And it's gonna be higher than that amount, though. So that amount to be named later, you'll know. of.
No, the amount is...
That's the correct amount?
That amount is based upon all the salary he earned during that
Okay.
time period.
All right.
So,
So we had a little further discussion. If there's no other discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, Patty. Thank you for everybody for helping me out with that. Let's see, what else do we have? Is that it?
I just, one minor thing, these are housekeeping issues that I'm going to keep on my housekeeping. Attorney Sacco's contract isn't up until March 24th or 26th, but we'll probably have to start thinking about going out to bid in like November, December to meet all the timelines. So that's, I'm going to keep it on the bottom of my open item list. And Stan, we're all set on, we did a 7-year on that, so 2029. So we're fine with Stan. And other than that,
With Sacco's contract, that really has nothing to do with the case that's going on right now.
No,
Because even if we
no.
terminate it, We still have to make another decision whether we want to continue it or not, so that's two different issues. Just because if we approve him as our attorney, doesn't mean we're saying we're just going to keep going along with the fight that we're
Right,
going
that's
on.
different issues,
We're
too.
going to have to step up to that, handle that. I don't know if I understand what I'm saying, but, okay? Okay, you don't need anything, just, that's for
That's it.
everybody to know it's coming up. Okay, anybody have anything else? We know what our next meeting is?
July 29th.
July 20, okay, do I have a discussion to,
Motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn, second?
All right.
All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.